Welcome. I'm the Deadwood Jedi. This is another Raid Shadow Legends video, and you probably can't tell, but currently I'm in not my account, but a test server account. Raid did something amazing for us content creators. They established a test server for us to actually get a look at the new faction Shadowkin champions ahead of time, guys. So I've been looking at this over the last weekend or so, last few days, and trying to get a real sense and feel on all the new Shadowkin factions, myself along with a lot of the other content creators. So we're going to be able to have a bunch of new videos out for you guys, kind of showing you different champions, where they're good at, how to build them, all that fun stuff. Now I'm obviously, clan boss centric, so they've actually imported my own account in there. So I have all my gear, all my champions, in addition to the Shadowkin champions. And so we're going to go ahead and test out a lot of these champions. Today, this video, what I would like to do is just give you a quick overview of all the champions that are released, where I think they're going to be best at, and then over the next few days I'm going to have a bunch of individual videos out for you guys. I have done a bunch of clan boss runs with some of the champions I think are going to be best for clan boss, so we can get a kind of a feel for how good they are, where they're going to be best used at, and I've done a few of these, so that we should get a fairly extensive view at least at a few of these champions, and there's quite a few that I think are going to be good for clan boss. But there's kind of a range of where they're going to be useful for. This isn't an amazing faction. These champs are going to blow you out of the water, but I think getting them is going to be good for your account. I think you will be happy with a lot of these champions and what they can bring to the game. So really excited about that. Really excited to show this to you guys. Quick thing about just how this worked. This is a completely new thing. So a lot of this we're testing out for ourselves. So while we had a lot of resources, it gave us almost infinite resources, you can see above, but one of the things we didn't get was the new jewelry and accessories, so I had to actually farm that. So I don't have great accessories for a lot of this display stuff, so you'll see the builds being really good but maybe not quite on point, and a lot of that will have to do with that aspect of things. But that said, let's do a quick overview of the champions. There's not a ton of them, so we'll look at those first, give you guys an idea of what they are, and then in the next few videos coming over the next week or so, you'll see me going over pretty much all the individual champions, where I think they're going to be best used. We'll do some focus builds on clan boss alone, and yeah, well, let's get into it. Okay guys, so as you can see just over my shoulder here, we have 12 new Shadowkin faction champions. We got a nice little range here. We got 3 legendaries, 4 epics, 3 rares, and 2 uncommons as well. Now, I didn't spend any time really focusing on the uncommons. I don't really feel like that's necessary, but for this point, what I'd like to do is focus a little bit on where champions could be used and just give you a quick overview of what they're about. So that's what we're going to do right now. We're going to start with Yoshi. Yoshi is going to be Yoshi the Drunkard. He's going to be the fragment champion. Now, it's almost unfortunate because he's probably the least exciting of all the new legendary champions. That said, he does bring some stuff to the table, and I think there's going to be a lot of places you're going to want to use him. Primarily, I see him being used in Arena and seeing him used in Dungeons and Doom Tower. The things that make me feel that way is especially this A3 skill here, where it gives you an increased attack and increased accuracy buff with a 50% chance of placing fear on your enemies, true fear on your enemies. Not to mention that books up to 75% chance, and it becomes 100% chance if they have an increased attack buff on themselves. This means if you're in Arena and you're facing an Arbiter team, they boost every time they do that. You go next, you give your team increased attack, give your team increased accuracy, and then you place true fear on all your enemies. Building Yoshi with a lot of accuracy and a lot of speed is pretty key to making him work in that scenario. And the reason why he can be good at that is because of his passive, which gives you a turn meter boost every time an enemy receives a buff. So Arbiter puts up increased attack on all 4 enemies. All of a sudden, Yoshi's getting the 16% turn meter buff. That's a really big difference. It's really nice, and he can interrupt the enemy a lot like what Valkyrie can do. Now, in practice, that turn meter boost is a lot less significant than you might think. Not like it's insignificant, but you need a lot of buffs to really make that multiply happen. This is why somebody like Valkyrie is so powerful. Her turn meter boost is like 10%. It's really strong. So she gets a huge jump in her turn meter. Yoshi's going to get a much smaller one, but if you can time it, can make him fast enough and get him to interrupt, that can be really significant for your team. All of a sudden, adding that increased accuracy is going to make a lot of your champions that do like hit hard and do debuffs work really well in synergy. Astralon is a champion like that. There's a few of them out there that are really good. Ray's another really great example. So Yoshi brings a lot to the table. I do like him. I don't think he's worth like necessarily like as far as like wailing out for a champion. I don't know that I'd wail out for Yoshi, but being new to this faction, I believe there's going to be a lot of utility with him. So he's going to be really good in dungeons and really good in arena, and I think that's kind of be his area. Now, when I say dungeons, I do include Doom Tower in that. I do include Faction War in that. It's kind of a general PvE content area. That's where this guy's going to be useful for. So that's what I would expect to see him use. He brings a lot of other skills to the table, but we're not going to go into each champion individually. Just kind of want to give you an overview of where you're going to want to use them so that you can target your videos, you can target who you're looking at for those specific areas of the game. We also have Ginturo. Now, Ginturo is really good. He hits very hard. He's going to be great in a lot of areas of this game. His kit does not synergize perfectly. That said, he's going to be really good in Clan Boss. He's going to be really good in Arena. He's going to be good in Dungeons too. He's going to be good pretty much everywhere. A lot of that has to do with the fact that he has 100% turn meter steal. That makes him really good in general area stuff. And of course, his decreased defense and weaken skill, this Oni's Rage, is what makes him really good for Clan Boss. He has some other really cool stuff to his kit. He's got a really nice attack aura. He's got a turn meter fill effect that, like, every time he gets a turn meter boost, it's multiplied by 50%. So that's a really good thing. A lot of stuff that's going to make him interesting. One of the best part is his A1. Grants him an extra turn if he kills an enemy. That's a really unique skill. It's kind of like what Septimus has. Now, he doesn't hit as hard as Septimus, but that can still be a really powerful ability, getting that extra turn off of a kill. And because he does hit hard, that is really useful. So again, this guy's going to be good in all areas of the game. We also have Genzin. Genzin gets a lot of turn meter boosts all throughout his kit. That makes him really useful in all PvE content as well as PvP. Because he's constantly getting himself turn meter boosts, he's constantly taking turns over and over again, and he hits hard. He's really good in dungeon runs, really good for PvP and arena as a single target damage dealer. Not so much for Clan Boss. That's not where I see him being used, but in all those other areas, I think he's going to be great. We also have Oboro. Oboro is one of my favorite champions out of this, actually. She's surprisingly good. She does a lot of great stuff. She gives herself a really nice buff here with increased crit rate, Veil, Perfect Veil. Her passive allows her to get a Revive on Death automatically with that. She also places decreased defense, which can become an AoE if there's enough debuffs on the enemy. It's less significant if you're not in like dungeon areas. In her second one, transfers debuffs. She hits hard. She has cool stuff on her kit. The revive becomes really helpful. So she's actually going to be great in dungeons. She's surprisingly good in arena as well. And all right in Clan Boss. She's not like my favorite choice there, but she's definitely a good champion. Everything's on a 3-turn cooldown, which makes her very useful. That decreased defense is on her A1, which is good because you get consistency out of it. Next champion, Sachi. Sachi, I really wanted to like in Clan Boss. I think she has some utility there. She brings a lot to the table, including increased attack and turn meter boost. She also has decreased crit rate in Leech, and decreased crit rate is really valuable in Clan Boss because once you put that on, it means the Clan Boss isn't going to crit anymore. That can be really nice, and obviously Leech is valuable. And then decrease actually on the A1 with an AoE hit. So there's a lot of stuff in here. It's kind of a mix mash of skills, not clearly Clan Boss oriented, not clearly arena oriented, definitely not clearly dungeon oriented. I think dungeon is going to be her best bet, but there's a lot of like random stuff kind of going on there. So there's some interesting things with her kit. I like her, don't love her, but I think you guys are going to see that she has some real usage, especially I think in dungeons is where she's really going to be the best at anything. Then we have Taragi the Frog. Taragi the Frog is one of those that I'm super excited about. When I first saw his kit, after testing him out, I still think he's going to be a really good champion. I don't know he's quite as good as I had thought, but there is a lot to like about this guy. The biggest thing, obviously, is that he has an AoE, or he has not an AoE, he has an ally protection ability, which is really good. And then the other thing is that he has a poison debuff that he places on an attacker when he gets hit. 50% chance. So every time he gets hit, there's a chance to place a poison. it's per hit. Now, obviously, this guy's going to be wonderful in Clan Boss, but it also means that he's not very good against Void Clan Boss. He's going to be really good against Affinity Clan Boss because there's going to be a lot more opportunities, a lot more hits in those attacks to place those poisons. So it's kind of an interesting champion. I think he's going to be really good as a secondary poisoner, not to mention ally protection champion. A lot of people are really going to enjoy him. Everything's on a 3-turn cooldown, makes him very easy to tune. Really good champion there. We also have Chronoro. Chronoro is, I think I'm saying that, Chronoro. She is actually a really interesting champion. Hits harder than I thought. Kind of a PvE area champion. I don't see her being great in arena, although this lay bare ability with being able to remove all increased defense buffs is a very interesting one. I see her being especially good in places like Doom Tower or Faction War, where you're facing champions that have that increased defense buff on consistently. You don't see that a lot in our dungeon runs, though. You know, with the new dungeon levels coming down the road, that might prove even more useful as we go along. I'm not sure that there's one particular spot that she's going to be best at, but we'll try her in a couple different dungeon areas and see where she really shines. Then we have Fnatic. Fnatic is one of those champions that I think is going to go under the radar for a lot of people. He's going to be great for Clan Boss. I'm pretty sure. I haven't tested him yet, but I'm really excited to because I think he's going to be really good there. Decreased defense on his A1, and it becomes the big version if the target's under 2 or more debuffs. Not a problem for Clan Boss, so I see there being a lot of positivity with that. Books up only to 40%, but it's on the A1 ability. And then he also has ability to transfer 2 random debuffs from this champion to the target on his A2. Not a big deal. The big one is this A3 skill. Increase attack buff on all allies for 2 turns and removes a random debuff from each ally. That means he has an increased attack buff and a cleanse on his kit. That's really useful, right? Now, it is a 4-turn cooldown, which makes it a lot harder to use. But if you can get them on a 4-3 ratio or use them in a 2-1 ratio team where that skill's coming up fairly regularly or you're exchanging with somebody else to cleanse, there's a lot to like about that, guys. So Fnatic, I think, is actually going to be really, really interesting. Decreased defense on the A1, cleanse, and an increased attack buff on the A3. There's a lot to like about that. Base stats are a little bit on the lower side, so you can really build him up. I think he's probably going to be best in a more traditional Clan Boss team, like his stats kind of lend that way. But obviously, if you can build his attack up, there's definitely potential for damage there as well. We've got Bloodmask here. Bloodmask is kind of an interesting champion. Not really anywhere I see him being especially good at. If anything, it's going to be dungeon work where he has single target stuff, decreased turn meter on the A1, decreased speed on the A2, and a stun on the A3. Now, what's nice is the stun is on a 3-turn cooldown and is single target, but it books up to 100% chance to land. So anytime you can lock someone down, that's always a good thing for sure. Decreased speed is always a nice ability, even if it is the weak one. And he's an HP-based champion. So there is something to be said about that. A lot of turn meter stuff here, a lot of crowd control stuff, although it is all single target. It's a negative part of that. But you have turn meter reduction, speed reduction, and then stun. So definitely there's going to be a place for him. But, I mean, he's a rare champion. So I don't see, once you get to the point of actually having epic and legendary champions, I don't really see a need to use Bloodmask. But, you know, I think as you're moving up in the world and you're starting to build your team, there's some advantages to using him. And then we have Lifetaker. Lifetaker is an interesting champion. She has one very, very, very clear spot. She's going to be used. It's going to be Fire Knight. Now you go, oh, she's blue affinity like Allure. That's no good. Except we have to remember that the dungeon levels are going to be going to 25. And when they do, she's going to be fantastic for it. She has heal reduction on the A1 in a 2-hit attack. She has a 3-hit attack on the A2 with a decreased turn meter on each hit and a decreased speed debuff. These are all potential chances. I think they're all 75% chance when fully booked, but that's all stuff that says Fire Knight, if anything I've heard. And then Diamond Body, Veil buff on this champion for 1 turn, and Reflect damage on this champion for 2 turns. This is a Fire Knight champion, guys. Bar none, Fire Knight is where she's going to be good at. I don't really see any other spots where she's particularly useful. Not to say she can't be. Single target heal reduction, single target turn meter, and speed reduction. And then, of course, the Veil with the Reflect damage. You can use her in a variety of places, but I think her main spot is going to be Fire Knight. And then we have 2 other champions, Infiltrator and Conscript. Nothing really shining about these guys. Single target, single attack here on the A1, weaken on the A2, so Conscript's no good. Infiltrator's a little bit more interesting as he has two hits, each one with a 50% chance of placing the weak version of the poison debuff. Again, nothing really standing out there. So those are the champions. That's where I really see each of them being used at. I think this is going to be I think there is a lot to like about these champions. Some of the epics especially really intrigue me, and I'm very excited to talk about them and show you what they can do. And I'm going to have videos, like I said, coming out all week showing each of these different champions in ways that I think are best, with some focus on clan boss, of course, where applicable. So that's it, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed this. Definitely make sure to check out these videos coming out. If you guys, yeah, that's it. That's all I got. That's all I got, guys. Nice and simple to start us off, and we'll get some videos out here shortly for you guys. Till next we meet, I'm the Deadwood Jedi.